check my latitude. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that.
Good morning. Good morning. Whenever I say that, I always think of that movie with Robin Williams, Good Morning Vietnam, but we shouldn't say that. But it was a good movie. If you haven't watched it, it probably didn't age well, but it is still a very good movie. How are you doing this morning, Brittany?
I am good. It's been a good morning. I pushed snooze a few too many times, so when you do that, you get to sleep a little bit, and I haven't had my breakfast yet. But my potatoes are cooked and waiting.
Well, that is a start. I did eat breakfast. My body, I have not had to set an alarm in 15 years. I wake up somewhere between 6:30 and 7:15 every single day. It's ridiculous. I hate it.
Yeah, I would hate that too.
Yeah.
Like I can wake up when the alarm goes off, but I set my alarm right at 6 so that I feel like I'm in control of when I wake up. And I say, "Hey Google, give me another 15 minutes," or "Hey Google."
It doesn't like that. Okay,
I
that
sleep by
defeats the
myself,
purpose.
okay? I sleep by myself. I can do what I want.
You can. No, my partner gets up at 5:30. I just lay there until I wake up. It doesn't. But our sleeping habits probably are not the topic of Unleashed, but it could be because we can talk about whatever we want. It's our show, so people can go
Whatever
fly
we
kite,
want.
right? And
Yes.
right now there's nobody watching, so it doesn't really matter. They'll watch it on repeat. All right. What is our first topic of today, Brittany?
Well, I had come up with a small topic. One of somebody who I know has a few coaches helping them out. And we were having a conversation, and they were like, "Well, I haven't been doing my usual client touch bases because I've been really just focusing in on what everybody's, the different homework and the different stuff that I'm supposed to do." And we were looking, and they had a little bit of a drop in their sales, um, because sometimes those point of touches are important, right? Sometimes, all the time. Point of touch and consistency is very important. And so that could be a reason why they're low on sales. Another reason is it's the end of January, right? Everybody is still paying bills for Christmas. So you have different things, but my biggest thing for her was, hey, when you are hiring help, like when you get a consultant, when you get a coach, you keep with what you're doing, with what's working, right? Because she has pretty decent sales. So that system's working, it's helping her. Um, she's more into she needs the new clients kind of space. So that very existing client system, it works. Could it use assistance and reinforcement? Yes, but don't give up the systems that work when you hire people. Use them to reinforce that. And that's kind of the conversation we were kind of talking about. So what do you think about that, Sarah?
So, it'll be funny if she's watching this. We'll just go with that because she's gonna figure out who she is if she watches this. I have a cold, so that's my first thing. So I will apologize if I sniffle along with the show. But in regards to this, I completely agree that if you have systems that are working, that you shouldn't just automatically change them because you have a new coach or a new mentor or a new anything, right? You should keep what's going and either add to it or make a purposeful change to switch that process, right? It shouldn't be just on a whim. One of the things that I will say though, is one of the things I have noticed with this situation, is that there is a concept of you could have too many coaches. Now, the person in question is lucky that all of the situations that she's in, they all know each other, and we don't overlap, and we aren't giving different information or whatever. But you want to be really careful to have, when you have more than one coach, that you might be getting information that conflicts. And you might want to consider, kind of in a sense, fixing one thing at a time, instead of trying to get 3 different coaches on 3 different things all at the same time. You might drive yourself loony. And the 3 people she's working with probably would drive her loony. I don't know if I could work with all 3 of us at the same time. My gosh.
Yeah, I definitely don't think so. But and I love what you're saying, right? Because it kind of takes me into that conversation of so in what you were saying brought me to something else that we've had to confront in just recent past. So when you have a coach, or when you have your business set and you're going down the road and you're pulling people in, and then all of a sudden you get a coach, and that coach is like, oh, hey, I've been working with you for a week. You need to change this, 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 and this, and you need to do it really quickly. That's not what's beneficial for you. And I've seen people who will get a coach and they'll change it on a dime. And then 3 weeks later, they get a different coach and they're going to change it on a dime. And that's a very difficult thing to do. One,
go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, even let's pretend you don't have a business and you're watching this. I want you to imagine, every 2 weeks you watch a new video and change your diet and your workout routine. If you did this every couple of weeks or every month, would you be successful? The answer is no. You wouldn't. You have to stick to a routine to maintain that routine long term, right? And we all know that, right? Practice makes perfect in such a sense. And it's the same thing with your business. If you're changing it every 2 to 4 weeks, or even every 2 to 3 months, you're not getting traction. You're not seeing if the process actually works, right? And the person we were talking about earlier, her process works. She just wants it to work better, right? And that's a whole different process, right? This works. We have this. It's great. Now, how can we make it bigger, better, stronger, all of those things? And yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. I think just bringing it into I just wanted to give that different example really quick, but
no, I love that. And I think like you're saying, when somebody comes in and says, don't do it this way, you need to look at alignment. Oh my gosh, this conversation. Okay, so check this out. I had a conversation last night, and I was going to go do a live on this on my own later today because I'm trying to do my lives consistently. But I had a conversation last night, and I don't know if you guys know, but I always ask people 3 songs they describe themselves with. One of mine is Train, Meet Virginia. First, the second line in that is She Never Compromises. And when that person listened to the song, they were like, you don't compromise? And I had to think about it. I had to think about what are the pros and cons to compromising. But then when I was thinking about it, there's nothing that you can say of I don't compromise that doesn't make you sound a little on the witchy side, right? Like if you're standing your ground and you're not compromising, sometimes that's on the witchy side. But what I said was, if I have to make a compromise, I'm always going to find resentment. If I have a conversation with somebody and we agree that a situation could be done differently and in a better way that benefits both of us, now I've realigned how I view that situation. I'm not compromising to the situation. I'm learning and I'm growing, right? I'm growing inside of, okay, I agree with what this looks like, and we can make this the better of the situations. And I know it's still that compromise situation.
Right. I love that you're making it words that make you feel better
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. That's but that is compromising. But I am going to agree with you here just for a second. I'm gonna and I'll explain to you how I'm seeing it, and then you can tell me if I'm crazy.
No, I
Um,
love it.
so I do love that song. Okay. But when it comes to compromise, a lot of times I explain myself to people after a while. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm actually selfish.
Hmm.
And I don't compromise a lot. And what I don't compromise, though, is my integrity, my beliefs, my, um, I could list other things. You get my point? So if you're going to ask me to do something that I feel is unethical, okay, and I'll give an example. My partner laughs whenever I tell this story, but give or take, this is about 15 years ago. I go grocery shopping. I come home. I'm unloading the groceries like a normal human. And at this point in time, I still had a purse. And I lifted up my purse. And like, my purse is super heavy. Why is my purse heavy? And I had one of those big cans of baked beans in my purse. Okay. No, I didn't purposely steal the beans, right? Like obviously nobody purposely steals a can of beans when they just paid, X amount of dollars for groceries. And so I got back in my car and I took the beans back to the grocery store to pay for the beans. The lady at the customer service desk looked at me like I was a lunatic. Okay, literally, you drove all the way back here to pay $1 for a can of beans. But that was my integrity. I had never consciously stolen something in my entire life, and that would have been consciously stealing something. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
And so if somebody asks me to do something, I would never break my integrity on purpose. I will never, like my belief system, I'm never going to break that on purpose. Okay. And I think that that's what you're kind of saying with compromise. Like, if this is how I'm supposed to run my business and we're having this conversation and you just arbitrarily tell me I need to change it, you're going to be like, no, it's my business. I'm not compromising. It's my business. But if you and I have a conversation, which we do a lot, hey, maybe you should try this, or Sarah just takes over your Canva, whichever one works that day. But, you should try this. It's a conversation, and you're like, okay, I can see that. I can concede a little bit. You're not using the word compromise, but you are.
Yeah.
Does that make
And
sense?
yeah, and I mean that goes to, part of this year for me, right? I was working for a client in person and they decided to be very shoddy. I did
Mhm.
not compromise. I walked out the door. Once I saw them being detrimental to another business, I
Well,
walked
and
out the
you
door.
gave them a few chances. Like it's not like you
Yeah.
just walked out the door and didn't tell them why.
Yeah,
You were
exactly.
very clear.
Yeah, I was very clear. I had asked them to undo what they were doing. I had very clearly stated this is not okay. This is not all
Right.
right. And I tried to, and the thing is I was staying long enough to try to rectify for the other business. So
Oh
that
yeah,
other
you
business
were
didn't lose,
invested. You
right?
were like, I want to make this
Yeah.
work. Mhm.
And so it was very difficult. And that's where you look at, how far are you willing to go? And if everybody would ask Sarah, Sarah would have been like, "Oh, that contract flipped in month 2 and Brittany should have pulled out in month 2. Brittany was pulling out in month 6 when somebody else was being affected." Right? And so when you look at those things and you look at your business and you're talking to people, when somebody is creating a cause and effect in your business, it's something where you have to take that stand. And in the case of like, I have coaches, stick with what you're doing. And then as you're doing it and as you're growing with them, say, oh, hey, you're giving me this advice and I do ABC. Is there something we can reinforce ABC with? And then, yeah, we can reinforce ABC, or hey, we don't think ABC works. Why don't we try this pattern, right? Why don't we look at this? And rule of thumb in marketing alone is it takes 3 months for anything in marketing to catch on.
Yes.
It takes 6 months for that marketing to create a sale. minimum, right? I mean, you can be lucky and you can
No,
get
there's going to
sales
be random
throughout.
stuff. You do a Christmas deal or a, 4th of July deal and people buy your stuff. That's not the point we're talking about. We're talking ongoing marketing. Did you freeze? All right. Well, I think Brittany froze. Oh, wait, there she is.
We have a rainstorm, so I don't know what's going on. But yes, I agree with you with holidays and things like that. However, that's because you've done your marketing up to that point and you have your following. So just remember that a lot of these things it takes time. We know if we change medicines, it takes 2 weeks for that medicine to fully take effect, right? Like it starts working, but you've got to get the old medicines out of your system, the new medicines working before you even know what's going on. So give yourself time, hold true to what is functioning, and make your tweaks and make your alignments and hold those for a minute. Because when you just switch it up, or you're like, oh, well, I've got a coach now, so I have to, a coach can't come in and give you a foundation for your business on day one. We all wish we could, but there's so much building work to that. It takes so much time. You have to hold to what you have currently and then increase that and correct the things that are on the wrong course. And that's week by week, day by day.
Yes. I feel like I want to talk a little bit though about we keep saying, you have your own processes, keep those up, yada, yada, yada. But we also have to take into consideration, we're going to use your one in-person client, and we'll use, probably all of us have run across this, that what somebody thinks they need to fix is not what they need to fix. Yes. Right? And that's one of the reasons that you want to keep those things going, is because if somebody comes in, any coach, any mentor into your life comes in and says, the world is falling and you need to change this right now, they're not the right person. Okay. And that doesn't mean, okay, how do I say this nicely? I'm saying if you have, like, let's say you have a list of clients and you want to switch from one CRM to another, that's not what I'm talking about. Switching your actual platform. I'm saying your messaging, your whole business, your whatever. And I'm going to use your in-person client as a thing. When she brought you in person, her listed problems were nowhere near the problems you figured out were actually the problems, right? And it took a lot of conversations to get there, and you ended up making changes and she wasn't ready for them at all.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people just need a little more time, and a time to get through their head that their problem is not the actual problem. And maybe I'm not explaining that completely accurately.
No, I think you're 100%. If we look at that client, I had worked with that client for 6 months prior, and I had found.
But you weren't in person,
right? I had worked with them 6 months prior from a whole different state, and in conversations, I had heard holes and things, and I was trying to get that established. And hey, work on, here's a system that you're going to need for money. They didn't have a counting of the drawers, right? They didn't have a counting of the drawers. And they would just deposit money every 2 weeks. That is an immediate fix. That is immediate fix.
100%.
But when I had given that to them and I gave them the structure of that, their management at the time changed it and made it difficult. So when I landed, I had to pull them back and be like, hey, you count money. This is the system. And then it became something that was duplicatable and doable on a daily basis because it wasn't hard. So here's the other part of this, right? Is you can hire a coach, but if you see something that isn't working, fix it. And tell the coach, this is something that I have that's not working. Please fix it. But also, we don't know what we don't know. I did a lot of accounting inside of different restaurants and different spaces. I have that in my history. I have that in my experience. This business owner has never worked outside of a particular trade. So counting the drawer every day, I just realized that trade does have a drawer.
But not
if
from
you're not the person that's
right.
on that particular position, then you're not going to know it. So when you are coming into a new trade and you are running a new business, it's very valuable and important to understand what it takes and to go and do the research, so that you understand what other businesses have in place. Their systems might not be the perfect system for you, but they're a baseline so that you can run your business as smoothly as possible. Here's the thing, we're all business owners and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. LinkedIn 360, perfect example. Everybody is in a panic. Everybody wants to now realign how they do their LinkedIn. I'm not going to realign how I do my LinkedIn. I don't have time to realign how I do my LinkedIn, because I use the same post for Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And if it doesn't get where it's going, then it doesn't get where it's going. And if I need to make adjustments, then I will, but I'm not going to go on a whole 20-page process of these are how I enhance my LinkedIn.
Well,
Um,
and
so
I'm gonna feed off of that because it's the 360 brew thing, right? That has been going around for LinkedIn, and I
sounds
threw
like a
it,
cold.
yeah, or a coffee or a beer maybe, but so I threw the requirements according to this into Chat GPT just for the heck of it, and I said if I were to do this prior to every time I post or in relationship to every time I post, and I post 3 to 5 times a week, how long would this take me? And it said it would take me an additional 8 hours a week for 5 posts. So basically, I would have to add a whole nother workday, in a sense, just to handle the new requirements for LinkedIn.
And you can't do it in one day. You have to spread it across all of your days.
Correct. Right. And so with this, I think people should read it for themselves, all of that. But also with any coach, there's 2 things I want to say. Whether you're saying I'm getting coaching from LinkedIn on how to update my, process, or I'm getting coaching from an actual human and, I'm trying to do something with my business, you have to do 2 things. One, understand that they're going to tell you things you may not want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But also, you're going to have to change some things, whether you want to or not, or you're paying for nothing. Right? What is the point of paying somebody if you're not going to listen to their advice?
Yep.
Or at least take it to heart. I'm not saying you have to listen, but if you are paying somebody, at least take it to heart and don't just pay somebody for you to get mad at them. Like, that's just silly.
Well, and that's where that compromise, that alignment, those different things come in, right? When somebody says, "Hey, this is what we're doing."
Mhm.
And you can look at it and you can say, "Okay, what's this take from my time?" Like Sarah did. Sarah was like, "Hey, how much time does this take?" I threw it into chat as I was listening to the active conversation. And I was like, well, that's debunked. That is accurate. However, it's being a little skewed. This is this way. This is this way. So when you're looking at conversations and you're listening to people, how does this align with me? And one of the things that 360 says is that an hour before you post anything, you should go on, well, you should go and you should comment on 15 people's things, which is a part of that everyday exhaustion. And also, you have to be on an hour before your post is triggered. That's difficult, right? So that's why we have pre-posting. So Sarah and I have always told people to find a core group of people and go in and comment on them once a day, right? At some point in time, you have 5 people, 10 people comment. 5 people are solid, always my 5, they're my besties. And then 5 people are other people in my LinkedIn. When I had brought that into the conversation, the rebuttal was, no, it has to be 15 completely different people, 15 people that you don't connect with on a
Second and third connections.
yeah, second and third connections. The exhaustion of that. For me, I can't do it. I don't have the time, but also I would rather commit and comment on people who I know and people who are, in my circles. And yeah, I go networking to grow my circle, but I'm not growing my circle by creating one comment on somebody who has their own circles, right? There's a lot inside of that. You would have to very actively be a part of their comments, plus you're going to have to message them, plus you're going to have to become their best friend in order for that to even make a move. And I believe, Sarah, you said this earlier, LinkedIn doesn't want us to do 8 hours of work. They didn't ask us.
Yeah, I can't imagine this was their intent. And I'm waiting for LinkedIn themselves, because right now it's this whole thing. It's called 360 Brew, but they claim they get the information from LinkedIn and all of that, but I haven't seen anything come out from LinkedIn directly.
And when I read about it, from what I understand is LinkedIn had multiple processes, and all of these different processes were then inputting. And from what I'm understanding is they were like, we have all of these programs, we just built a new program. So they took all of their already existing things, they built a program that can read it more clearly and input and output in an easier format. So it hasn't changed from my understanding of what I've read. They just took what was already existing and wrapped it into a bubble.
Okay.
So from what I'm understanding, and not LinkedIn experts or anything like that, but that's the conversation of when somebody tells you something, what do I now do with it? I research it, I figure it out, I align with it.
And I want to make sure that I read this out loud, because I was not sure if LinkedIn owned 360 Brew. And 360 Brew is an AI-driven content ranking and recommendation system, and it was developed by LinkedIn. It began rolling out in late 2024 and was implemented more broadly by late 2025. So the thing is that it prioritizes meaningful content over engagement bait. So meaningful content over engagement bait. So the engagement isn't the key. It is your content and how it matches your profile. That is what I'm reading. And so these 15 people comments and X amount within 15 minutes and all of that, that's not what they're categorizing. It's, are you putting out good content?
Yep, exactly. So with that being said, we are coming to the end. And Sarah didn't think we'd get the full 30 in off of my one topic, but I knew we would spiral.
We spiral. Yes, all the time. All right. We're not going to introduce ourselves. You can go follow us. Unleashed, though, is hosted on the Keystone Network. And if you are looking for a option of co-working and collaboration, we want you to attend some of the other events that are hosted on the Keystone Network. And if you're looking for something better and bigger and stronger than Google Meet or Zoom or WebEx and all those, come set up a meeting with one of us and we'll tell you about Go Brunch and how it can change your life. That was probably a little dramatic, but it might change your life. I don't know.
I love
But
it.
it will make things better than Zoom. So
Yep. Also, go check out last week. We had 3 amazing gentlemen on our other episode, on our other show, which is the Skyline Circle. We had Steve Soto, we had Chase, we had Dominic, and all 3 of them are phenomenal, who just work very hard for businesses and push them forward. And Dominic does drone photos, so that is amazing to be able to see that, but also build such a phenomenal community. So
100%. And she hosts this on a Friday once a month. Is it a certain Friday?
I try for the 3rd, but we make it different depending on people. Yeah.
Well, because we also work with people from around the world. So your meeting last week had California, Spain, and Australia.
Yes.
So unfortunately, one person was up in the middle of the night. But we could go all off on this. But thank you everyone for watching. End the stream.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude.